Calhoun Square was developed in 1851. It was one of the last squares to be developed. And it has all of its original structures. And you can't tell it by looking at all these structures, but they were made out of a very important material that was handcrafted by enslaved people that lived at Hermitage Plantation, which is about 3 miles up the Savannah River, located where present-day International Paper is. And there was at one time about 300 or 400 enslaved people at Hermitage manufacturing these bricks, and it's one of the most prominent obvious materials you see all throughout Savannah's architecture. All the warehouses up on River Street are made out of Savannah gray brick, and you see it on Calhoun Square in parts. But after the great fires of 1820 and so forth, city leaders and architects started advising people to make houses out of brick for obvious reasons. And this was about the time that Hermitage was starting to really grow. And all of the structures on Calhoun Square are made out of Hermitage gray brick. The architects would just cover it up with plaster and put faux lines in it to make it look like it was manufactured out of large blocks. But that's not the case. They're all actually manufactured by enslaved Africans who lived on Hermitage Plantation. Calhoun Square was at one time the Paupers Cemetery, and Whitfield Square was at one time the Black Cemetery in town. In 1818, the city passed an ordinance that forbade people from burying deceased enslaved people in their yards. So they had to develop a cemetery for them, and that's where Whitfield Square is now. And people find that interesting, and also other details as well.
I am able to tell the history of the Andrew Lowe House, which I find very unique. There's really two sides of the house. The side that W.W. Law focused on is particularly interesting to this particular exhibition as it ties in. You see Mr. Law in his Heritage Trail focused on all sorts of personalities from Black history. So they would be people from all walks of life, essentially. They could be church leaders, they could be enslaved, or they could be more famous personalities as well. In the case of the Andrew Lowe House, he actually mentions in his trail Miss Mosiana Millage, Juliet Gordon Lowe's famous cook, credited with having introduced Southern cooking to the British aristocracy in the 1890s. So you see, the Millages, both Tom and Mosiana, were formerly enslaved, later freed servants of Andrew Lowe. And after Mosiana became widowed, she got to travel with Juliet Lowe, the founder of the Girl Scouts, to England, and she worked as her cook. And in the words of Rosa Lewis, who was a famous British cook, before Mosiana came to England, the English had no idea that a chicken could be fried. So she really made quite an impact. And I love that Mr. Law actually credits her by name, and that actually led to a lot of people researching Mosiana further. I do believe she's a point of great interest, and people want to know more about her still. Mr. Law highlighted a lot of hidden histories, a lot of unique histories that otherwise would have been overshadowed. So he talks about a lot of the people in the pre-Civil War period and post-Civil War period. Those histories would have been overshadowed, in fact. So he'll talk about a lot of the hidden gems, and that's what I love about his tour so much.